Hey, this is CANDIA RAQUEL, founder of Centro de Poder, and you are at the Sensual Sessions podcast, the place to explore sensing pleasure through your senses and moving completely free from inhibition. And today we have a very special guest. This is Fariya, doctor, and I'm going to welcome her. And please, Fariya, tell us more about your background. Tell us more about what inspired you to share this unique approach of movement with people.
Oh, well, thank you. Candia, I just want to thank you for inviting me and creating this environment of thought and creativity. So thank you very much. As you mentioned, Fariya Doctor, I'm in Canada. I live near Niagara Falls in Ontario, and I became a Feldenkrais practitioner I started studying in 2000 as a Feldenkrais practitioner. And I think when I studied, it transformed my way of thinking about myself as a human being. It really shifted my sense of identity. And you had asked me about something that had happened to me um, when I had my baby, and that I had injured my back.
Yes.
So, I'd had a baby, and I was taking care of my son, and I went to pick him up out of the crib,
Yes.
and I had sudden shooting pain in my back, and I collapsed. I actually passed out.
You passed out.
I passed out. So I had a background of massage therapy. I have, a background in understanding human anatomy. I had a bachelor of science. I did a lot of biology. So I understood some aspects of health and well-being and posture and alignment and all of that. But it didn't help me in this particular situation, because in this particular situation, I was very stressed out,
Yes.
and that triggered this aspect of pain and injury that made me wonder what caused me to do that. What happened? Am I injured permanently? Am I broken? Or did I do something unconsciously to injure myself?
Yes.
And so that was the exploration. The Feldenkrais training helped me see myself from a different lens. And so we all come into this world with parents and expectations and ideas of who we are and who we're going to be. And that gets held in our body,
Yes.
in the way we carry ourselves in the world. And I'm a little person, and I wanted to be strong and forthright and know what I was doing, even though I felt very insecure. I wanted to show people that I was in charge. And so I carried my body in a very particular way, and I carried my back in a very particular way, right?
Yes.
that that insecure holding caused me to injure myself.
Yes.
When I realized I didn't have to be
You don't have
holding myself
that
like
way.
this, and to know that I was doing it in the first place was a revelation. And it was a startling revelation as well, because when you start realizing you don't have to hold your body in that particular way, you wonder, well, who am I?
Who am I?
What is
The identity, like what where can I hold myself in this world? Like it's like the way you described that you had like this attitude of showing up and letting everybody know that you were in control and in charge, like reflected in your low back. And it was like, oh yeah, I also have attitudes in certain areas of my body. And then like realizing that, wow, like you don't need to be injured or broken to actually injure yourself, or to actually create a way of holding yourself in the world that can lead to real chronic pain, to the point of passing out. Like, you don't need to have like an herniated lumbar disc to pass out from pain. It's enough to have a certain attitude in your posture towards the world. And for me, that's a huge revelation, because it's so true. Like, I testify, I I I sign that it's true, because I've carried myself that way, and finally led to real injuries and real problems. And I believe that what you are articulating is a widespread disease on our culture. It's something that it's the way that we interpreted our early home environment, upbringing, culture, education, on how we should be in the world, instead of asking ourselves, how do we want to be, and how could we manage to do that? Because that would require a unique approach, not following the cookie cutter template from our parents and grandparents and generations. But I don't have the solution, and you have the solution, actually, because you took yourself out from that low, like,
I did. I
yeah.
took myself out of it. I mean, I went back in and out of it, but eventually I found myself understanding that that position was a real place of holding of tension, of holding myself. And as you grow older, your self-image might change, right? You have these different experiences, different jobs, different things that come into your life that actually shape, grow, morph your sense of who you are. And the people around you will influence that as well. Our self-image isn't just us thinking about who we think we are. It's us thinking, what do we think other people think we are, right? It's not just an internal, but it's an external experience. It's an interplay of the world and our own
Well,
interpretation of the world, right?
like
And
a
so,
relational interface. So yeah, it's
yes,
not only that I hold myself like this in order to be able to be upright sitting on a chair, and not like a caterpillar in the floor, but like I hold myself this way because I want to be mirrored by, I want to be seen and mirrored. And a, and a devastating aspect of belonging, like, in at least in my family, is that you need to have a certain look alike. Like the nose is like the mother, the mouth is like the father, the posture is like the posture that we all have. And in my background, I come from a very strong, the opposite of patriarchy, it's matriarchy. Well, like, woman, very strong woman, but like strong also in the negative sense, like, in a softness depleting way and pleasure depleting way. Like, the only the only area where you were allowed to have some delight was in work. So so, like, at, at least you have permission to work. But then, like, what happened with playfulness, with joy, with sensitivity, with feeling, owning the tiredness when you're having your period and all that stuff. And I'm sure that if at an early age I would not match in that template, I wouldn't have that sense of social belonging. But that is what leads to problems on the long run. So I love that you mentioned that you got out, but it was a process of going in and out, in and out, in and out. So this to say, like, also the audience, like, don't be hard on yourself. Like, transformation processes are processes. And I believe that's something very unique about the Feldenkrais method, that is less goal-oriented and more process-oriented. And the process is what leads to a great goal.